From a super secret location deep within the mountains of Colorado, it's time to strap up, strap in, or strap on with your host, Shenanigans in One Shot. It's From the Ashes Radio!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the train wreck. Glad to have you all. Thank you very much for joining us on About Face Media and From the Ashes Radio. So I got a text about 10 minutes before showtime. So normally after the show is over the next morning, tomorrow morning, I'm going to edit their show and I hang it on all the podcast platforms and life is good. And after, sorry. And when I analyze the data across all the platforms, we usually have plus or minus about 300 listeners or so. When we are rebroadcast on U.S. Army WTF Moments, that shoots up to about 30,000 listeners. Well, WTF Moments, their DJ for this evening is ill and can't be there. So we are live right this second on U.S. Army WTF Moments. So there is what we like to call lovingly here in the super secret location, a metric fuck ton of listeners tonight. So
a metric fuck ton.
Well, I think we should switch to the metric system. So I don't like to use an American fuck ton of listeners. We have a metric fuck ton of listeners.
Yeah, like the whole world uses metric. We're
Except us.
Jackasses that don't.
I don't get it. I mean, look, it's not the metric system that put a man on the moon first. I get it. However, you know, things would be a whole lot easier if I could get a liter of cola.
You know what else I believe?
Yes.
I believe across the board, we shouldn't worry about time zones.
Ooh.
We're going on Zulu time. Fucking everybody. I don't give a shit.
I'm not there, but I am down with the let's get rid of daylight savings time.
Yes, but not the bad way. It sounds like they're getting rid of it, but it's the bad way.
It's like just one more thing for our politicians to fuck up in this world. So I'm a huge advocate for end daylight savings time.
Yes. So I lived in Hawaii I wasn't there the whole time, but my entire military career.
Yeah.
So almost a decade, Hawaii, no that daylight savings time. It's glorious.
I didn't know they didn't do it in Hawaii. I thought it was just Arizona.
Arizona, Hawaii. I think there's 3.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. That's badass, man.
Right?
I didn't know that. But yeah, very cool. Folks, we have one hell of a show tonight. So we also got the message that Ariel Resupply Coffee will not be with us tonight. Not a problem. That's okay. So
we were already concerned about being able to stay on time. So now we'll be able to.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We always
not be cutting people.
For those of us that are regular listeners, it's very rare we hit a time hack like we're supposed to. Which brings me to my next point.
We will make it tonight.
We are often quoted on this show, and you'll hear us say it all the time. No one is coming. It's up to us. And what we're referencing is, hey, veteran community, all we have is each other. Well, that saying comes from a very specific location. Yes, it comes from the Army and jumping on airplanes and all that stuff. Yeah, that as well. But here to us, what it means is veterans, all we have is each other. And we are going to have Evan with 30 seconds out on the show tonight. I've been waiting for this interview for a very long time, so I'm kind of excited about this one. This one's going to be a good one. But Gail Davis is watching. And say I'm aware. I love that your mom tunes in all the time. Mine too. So I love that. Let me pull up the article from you, Seth. Here we go. No, that's Project Hero K9. Not doing that. You sent that to me by way of text message, I believe. So
I didn't find it. Wait, I didn't send you this one.
No,
you
that's
sent it to
dirty
me.
foot. Ew. Was it on Instagram? That's where we find most of our bullshit. Yeah, there it is. No, that's dogs, bald people.
Just why I asked you if you had it pulled up.
Well, I didn't. But I mean, you did ask me that. I thought I said, hey, I have never forgotten you handle Combat Carl. Did I hear that wrong? But now we can't figure out where we had it. Oh, I know how I can find this. Oh, so here's the thing. I shared this conversation right there. I shared this conversation on Instagram, obviously. Army scrambling to
Yes.
Yeah.
That one. There you go.
So I shared this conversation on Instagram, and an article comes from We Are Breitbart, and it's the headline is Army is scrambling to get back soldiers it kicked out over Biden's military vaccine mandate. And okay, cool. Tell me your thoughts on that one.
Well, I'm going to pull the article up.
Okay. So when I shared this, though, I got a lot of feedback. I got feedback from people that I have actually served with who were like, hey, man, that headline is kind of fucked. It's bullshit.
Well, that's why I wanted to pull up an article from somebody I trusted a little bit.
Yep.
So amid recruiting woes, Army sent letters to separated for vaccine refusal. The Army separated 1,903 active duty soldiers for COVID-19 vaccine refusal. Letters were sent to approximately 1,900 to come back.
Okay, 1,900. So 2,000 soldiers, service members. That's across 4 branches.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's see what. Let me quote one more thing.
Go ahead.
As a result of the let's see here, the recession of all current COVID-19 vaccination requirements, former soldiers who were involuntarily separated for their refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccination may request a correction of their military records, according to a letter signed by Brigadier General Hope Rampey. Oh, there's a female brigadier general.
Good honor. Good honor. I don't know her.
You know, I my body, my choice, right?
If you want to get pregnant, you can.
Yes.
I agree.
Actually, I can't because I'm a dude. And even if I swap some things out, I'm still a fucking dude. So
Are you? Are you?
Well,
You are.
You know. Anyway, I was very anti forcibly making people wear a mask, very anti forcing somebody into a vaccination. So yeah, I think they should have done that and a whole lot fucking more.
And that's from
like
a small business owner that required people to be face to face for his business to blossom. And I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not making somebody put one on. I'm not making somebody take one off. I'm not judging somebody for wearing a fucking mask. I'm not judging them for not wearing a mask. I'm not judging you for getting the vaccine, even though I think it's stupid. That's what I think. It's not what everybody else thinks. And it's everybody's right to have their own fucking thought process.
Quentin Fuller is watching right now. Welcome to the show.
Me vaccinating myself has nothing to do with safety of you. You can spin that however the fuck you want, but it has nothing to do with it. Folks, I don't know if you know this, but the polio vaccine, not going to hear me hate on it. You know why I'm not going to hate on it?
Because we don't have polio.
We don't have fucking polio. You get a COVID vaccine, guess what? You're going to get 6 more shots, 7 more shots. You're just going to get shots for the rest of your life. And guess what? You still get fucking COVID. Why would you get it? And also, what company? Oh, man.
Here we go. See, now we got them riled up, folks.
has the largest dollar figure in civil action for being sued for wrongdoing?
Disney.
No. Pfizer. On record, you can Google it and make sure I'm not wrong. Pfizer for, fucking people over who made who's the leading maker of the COVID vaccine. You're trusting those guys.
So
we still haven't cured cancer, but we can get a vaccine to cure COVID in months. Come on, man. Anyway.
Someone I love very much, occasionally sleep next to, sometimes share bills with.
Depends on the bill.
It depends on the bill. No motorcycle payment, I assure you. I've never seen her more emotional about something like that. She was legitimately pissed off. She works in healthcare, and was told, "You'll get it, and you have until 1 January to get it," and was forced. And if you're dangling their jobs over their head and someone's livelihood, they're being forced. But to bring this back around to the military, we have mutual friends who occasionally like to use the range at a super secret location. who were in the National Guard in this area, who were forced out for it. And that's some fucking bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Other friends who Quentin Fuller and I know, we have a friend named Jimmy who was out in Hawaii, was getting ready to retire, promoted. He was master sergeant or some shit like that. I forget the details of the whole thing. But long story short, he was told by his sergeant major, go home. I don't want to ever see you in the Army again. And they allowed him to retire, but they did not make it easy on him. And they made his life miserable on the way out. And that's fucking bullshit. So I don't believe that 1900 number is a good number, because there's a lot of people that probably retired early, ETS'd anyway. That's the 1900 that were kicked out.
All right. I'm gonna speak up for the other group that I even feel worse for.
Go ahead.
The motherfuckers that didn't believe in the vaccine and got pressured into it and took it.
Yeah. And then, heart attacks, all kinds of shit. I don't know, man. No, I do know. Fuck that. But in the same breath, we got anthrax, we got all that shit, and that's what everybody's argument is. Did you feel that same way when you got the anthrax vaccine?
On some of them, yes. But I researched it. Look, if you're putting a chemical drug into my body, I'm going to research it before it goes into my body. So I have refused vaccines in the past from when I was in the Army. I got one flu shot in the entire time I was in the Army. I've only had 2 flu shots in my entire life. Those 2 years, I was hospitalized for the flu.
Wow. So I had a lot of people.
Flu shot.
So I was a medic, and so I had I don't want to say a lot, but every once in a while I would have someone come through the line and hey doc, I don't want this. Okay, I understand. Can I give it to myself? Sure. And this is back when you could put it up your nose and whatnot. I'd hand it to them and they would, cool, got it. Here's your record. You're off and running. Your block is checked. If you come see me later and be like, hey doc, I've got the flu. Well, that sucks, man. And we're going to have a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get the way some people feel about these kinds of things. Getting good stuff.
Yes.
That's what I like. So I love the phones blow up at times like this. Mine is as well. So it's cracking me up to no end.
Yeah. But a lot of times it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's relevant with the show that's going on right now. Like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, thanks.
Well, all right. So, and let's stick with that for just a hot second. We got about 2 minutes before we got to bring on Evan. We work very hard to make this show the best possible show that we can, with as many resources for you as possible, things like that. I need your feedback. We need to make this better. And what's funny is one of my favorite parts of the show is our intro. Our guy, Philip Blackman, spent a lot of time working on that intro, and I think it's hysterical.
It's great.
But I have gotten feedback from 2 women who have both said to me, I hate the intro to your show. And I'm like, and I shut off your show until the intro is over.
Were they veterans?
No, they were not. They were both married to veterans.
Doesn't
matter.
Their opinion is irrelevant at this point. All right.
I think our intro is awesome.
I do too.
That's just me. So, folks, I want your critical feedback. If there's things that we can do to make this show better, I need to hear about it. So send it our way. You can email me fromtheashes@gmail.com. rwilliams@aboutfacemedia.org, whatever it is you want. We'll figure it out, but send me some feedback, and we work hard to make all of the shows on About Face Media the best show that we possibly can. So send it our way, man. We'd love to, even if you're like, hey, I hate your stupid face and your fucking stupid looking head.
Blur out shenanigans.
Yeah.
You can just be
there are apps for that. And I can like put one of those black bars across my eyes so you don't have to look at my ass. I get it, folks. Yeah. In the meantime, it is 6:15. So let's bring on Evan with 30 seconds out. Evan, how are you, dude?
Good. How you doing, boys?
Better than I deserve. How about you?
Yeah, I loved your intro, by the way. I thought it was awesome.
So, welcome.
It was way more than I was expecting. I was like, shit, I'm about to watch like a feature-length film here. Let's go.
You know what? If I didn't cut us off, we could go that long very easily.
Yeah, that's the problem. We have to cut the show off in an hour because he and I'll sit on this couch and shoot the breeze all night. So you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Evan from 30 Seconds Out, welcome to From the Ashes. We have waited a very long time to make this happen. You recently moved to Colorado, what, like a year or so ago?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, my wife and I left Sun Valley, Idaho. We were there for about 8 years and moved to Colorado because of the mountain guiding thing. There's really good guiding opportunities here to kind of develop as a guide. And I don't like traveling a ton because, being in the military, I'm kind of over just traveling all the time. And a lot of guides, they like live in their vehicles. They like chase the guide seasons to different states, different parts of the country. But here you can guide year round in one location. Cause I like being at home. After 20 years in the military, I really enjoy being at home. So that was
that. Going back to that, Evan, tell us a little bit about you, like military wise.
Yeah, so I did 20 years in the Navy. I was in the teams, and I retired in 2014, and immediately moved to the mountains with the goal of I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was going to do, so I just knew I wanted to be in the mountains, and so I just left. The day I could leave, I left. And oddly, it was September 11th, 2013, and I didn't notice it till I was driving, and I'm like, holy shit, it's September 11th, and I'm leaving the military right now. It was just an odd date, and I was glad to be out. But I miss the boys, I miss even the girls that we work with, the support elements and all that. And that's the element that I miss. But the thing that I really didn't miss too much is just the military stuff, right? Everything that goes along with being in the military. I love doing the job. Yeah. Right. I got out, and first job I got $20 an hour running a 30-ton crane with Alpine Tree Service and running chainsaws, dragging logs. I loved it. Like, it was great. It was working outside again, and it was a good fit for me because I'm not a good indoor office person. I know that it's just not in my DNA. I just don't function well sitting in a stationary spot for long periods of time. My mind just goes all over the place. Like, if I got hired for an office job, they'd fire me in like 2 weeks. They'd be like, this dude can't do it. You know what I mean? That's just reality. So I just, I think we have to pick things that we love to do and that we can also make some money at. Because, passion doesn't always equal money. And you know what I mean? Like, you got to make money. And if you can align those two to a certain degree, I think you're going to be a happier person, like a more pleasant person to be around,
We talk about that all the time on this show because it's a real challenge for the veteran community. Because most of us join when we're 18 years old. You're a fucking idiot when you're 18 years old. You just sign up. A man in a large hat tells you to go left and right and when to brush your teeth, and life is good. And then 20 years later, you get out and you're still that same idiot, but now you don't have that same identity that you had when you were in the military. So now what? All you've done is delayed 20 years the pain and suffering that our peers had to go through.
That's a big reason I got out at 20, because I knew eventually I was going to get out. And, getting out at 20, like, roughly 40 years old, I thought that was a good kind of break to start a whole new life. And I knew I was going to have to start from the beginning again because I was avoiding the contract world. There's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't personally want to go do contract work. And it was there. It was available, but it just wasn't something that I was interested in doing. Even with my buddies going and doing it and telling me how much money they were making, I'm like, I'm still sticking to my $20 an hour job, man. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure something out after this. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out.
I felt the same way when I was getting out, because the contract work is always like, oh, it's right there, and those numbers are insane. And one of the things that I thought about was, I was like, man, I'll be fucking some crusty old 60-some-year-old fucking still downrange nonstop with a fat bank account, and I'm gonna be just that guy. It won't be anything else to me.
Wearing half of a uniform instead of a full uniform.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
if we figure, like, let's say we all live to 80 years old and we spend 20 years in the military. I mean, that's only 25% of our life. So 75% of our life is not in the military. And so most of our life we're not in the military. It's just a piece of something that a lot of us did, and I'm super proud of it. But I also wanted to do a bunch of other things aside from that and after that. And so, kind of biting the bullet, not taking the paycheck and trying to figure it out from the bottom, basically. Like, you're starting from the bottom, man. Like, like the being in the military and having gone to combat, what I've said to people is that it'll get you a great conversation at a cocktail party and maybe some introductions, shake some hands. But at the end of the day, businesses need you to do a job and be an asset to them. And so to learn that, it's going to require a whole different skill set. Sure, we have motivation. We can work long hours. We have a lot of grit. And those are great qualities. But you start getting into the technical aspects of how people are running businesses, how businesses is going so fast with technology, and being able to try to jump on the train really quick and keep up. It's tough. That transition is freaking tough, man. And you got people. I got friends that have been doing business for 20 years while I was in the military, not doing business, and they were so far down the road. But those are the people to learn from, right? Those are the people that we can go to and just admit, like, hey, here's what I know and here's what I don't know. And what I know is like this much, and what I don't know is like a ton. And so if you approach those people with humility and with a goal, and they see that you're going to be dedicated, they'll bend over backwards to help you, because number one, they respect you because you're in the military and you show up every day on time, meaning 5 minutes early. 5 minutes early is on time, with the right stuff, ready to do a job, sober, and you just hammer down and crush it. That's a great start right there. Like, because people that run businesses, they can work with people like that. Like, I can teach this guy the A through Z of the business we're doing, because if he can do all that, he can pick this up over the years, kind of thing. The exception of that is if you decide to become an entrepreneur, which is what I did, because it was enticing to work for myself and to create something. And that's when I started the brand 30 Seconds Out. It's just apparel. We just take designs and put them on things. We're not really selling, we sell basically like t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers and all that, but that's not what we're selling. What we're selling are ideas and concepts. And you just put them on stuff. Like, I could put it on a picnic table. I could put it on a umbrella. You know what I mean? The ideas are what, drive, people to my business. And the learning curve was massive, learning how to do business, especially e-commerce. Massive learning curve. And that was almost 10 years ago. It is still a massive learning curve, because technology is moving so fast and there's so much information coming at us. The challenge that I think we all find is like finding the right information, like finding the one good piece of information out of 100 pieces that are going by. Like, okay, this one I can apply, and being able to filter out, no, that's not good. That's not good. That to me is one of the most challenging things, because once you start a business, you just start getting, inundated with offers, and they want to help you. They want to help you by you subscribing to their service. And it all sounds great at first. And I've made so many mistakes going, oh man, this is like almost a magic button. If I get this one software and I plug it in, then it's going to really ramp my business up. And about 1 times out of 10 that works. 9 times out of 10, it does not happen. So I've gotten very skeptical and very choosy and picky about kind of, what I take on to help our business,
Well, I have 2 comments to go with the things you just said, because there's a little bit there. You're completely correct. It is the idea. We here take it very personal. The whole, it's up to us, no one's coming. That means a lot to us. And this whole show is based on providing resources to the veteran community as much as possible. And we say it all the time, no one's coming. We only can take care of ourselves. There are 44,000 veteran-based nonprofits in the United States, all aimed at us and our peers to make their lives better and to try to get them, what they need. And we work very hard to bring those resources to bear to try to save lives, essentially. Last number I heard was 44 of us are taking our lives a day.
On average.
And we have got to slow. Yeah, dude, I had to make the same face when I heard that number too. I'm like, 44 a day we're up to. Holy fuck.
I thought we were like hovering at the 22 zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we haven't been there for a long time.
That number just came out probably a week or so ago.
I believe it, because I probably couldn't write down every name of the guys that I worked with that have off themselves. I mean, and that's from a top tier unit, and it blows my mind. Every time I get news, you get a text from a buddy, right? It says, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" And immediately you're like, "Fuck, what?" And they just mention the name, and you know what happened. You're like, "Okay," and then you call them.
The friend you haven't heard from in 8 months, suddenly the phone rings, and you're like, why is he calling?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we love what 30 Seconds Out stands for. At least that is our interpretation of what it stands for. You may have something different. And we shared this broadcast to a whole bunch of groups. And so, Yeah, everybody interpret it for yourself, but that is our interpretation of what it means. Did you have something different?
Yeah, like the no one is coming, it's up to us thing. Like we throw that on stickers and shirts and stuff like that. For me, like where that hit home for me was during operations where, yeah, you have a QRF, which is a quick reaction force. So you have a team that goes in doing a thing, and there's another team on standby to go help that team. But oftentimes that QRF, they're not going to get there and assist. They're going to get there and do an assessment of what just happened. So a lot of times when you're on the ground, you're it, especially on something like a hostage rescue operation. It's happening so fucking fast that there's no other team that's going to come in and make things better. Like you're looking around the room before you get on the helos of the vehicles and you're like, all right, we're fucking it tonight. That's it. And that feeling of we have to make this work. It has to work. We have to execute and we have to nail this. This is not a thing we can't nail. And that's where it hit home for me. And, talking with, I've been out a decade now. In the business world, they have the exact same kind of mindset when they're going in. When a team is going in to say they're going to go in and pitch something worth tens of millions of dollars, that team going in to pitch that could change their lives or not. And that is a massive pressure. And so whatever they have with them, those people, the resources, the preparation they've done, that's what they're going in with. And that's what you do. The same thing in the military. It doesn't matter if you're walking into a boardroom or going into a freaking Target with 20 bad guys running around that are stoked on killing you. And so it really, like, there's so many things in the military that translate across. The terminology is different, but the mindset and the reality of it is the same. And so that's what I've tried to do with 30 Seconds Out is take these military concepts and say, hey, these work in business as well and other fields, especially first responders, man. Those guys, law enforcement going in, the stuff that those guys see. I mean, we think we have PTSD in the military. I mean, think about the cops that have been on the streets and like hard streets for 20 years or 30 years. Imagine the shit that they have seen, man. And it's even, in a way, I would say it's even worse than the stuff that we all saw in war, because it's happening like in their town. This is America. Like it's on the streets here. Whereas when we're over there, we have sort of a, we're displaced from it. So that's the bad things are over there. When we come home, we're good, we're safe, and we're happy, right? First responders, they don't really have that. They're like, yeah, everything's good while I'm home, but I'm going on shift in 12 hours, and who the fuck knows what's going to happen when I get on shift? It could be anywhere from a completely boring shift to my partner loses their life or I get shot. Like in that, like, it's the same kind of mentality. And like we, as a military, we definitely don't own that. We're a big part of it, but it translates across the board to so many different, pursuits or endeavors that people are involved with, and jobs and things like that. And so taking those concepts and, in including, I guess, that's what it is. We're including, business people and your first responders. And number one, I mean, in reality, it's good for business because you have a larger market, but really it's a respect thing. Like saying, we don't own this. Like we're not the only ones that have seen really crazy shit and had friends killed next to us and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? We don't own that. We're just a piece of that puzzle, not puzzle, but we're just a piece of that life and that experience and that career path that people have on. And the career paths are very different for everybody.
A lot of our listeners are police officers, first responders, firefighters, stuff like that. And yeah, we take it very, very seriously. For a lot of different, they're friends, close friends of ours. And we have friends that were some of the officers in the door through the movie theater shooting a couple of years ago. Very close friends of ours. And you're like, hey man, you've seen and done shit that I've only read about in books, man. So yeah, we take it very seriously here.
Yeah. And like I was thinking there was like 10 or 15,000 veteran organizations, but what'd you say? 40,000?
44,000.
Whoa.
Veteran nonprofits.
Imagine what we could do if we could synergize that and bring all those moving in the right direction and everybody working together and everybody on the same page. What you could do with 44,000 nonprofits.
Yeah.
You save a lot of lives.
I'm sure you guys have too. You get hit up on email like, hey, I want to start this thing. A guy gets out, combat vet or not, or whatever. And the first thing I say is like, hey, I'll bet there's several organizations that are doing exactly what you are planning on doing. And so instead of going through the rigmarole of creating a 501c and the paperwork and doing all that, contact them, plug in with them. And maybe you can just plug into that and become an asset to that organization that already has the framework and the structure and the momentum. And then you're just fuel to the fire. And I'm like, you'd probably be more effective doing that, unless you have some unique thing I've never heard of.
Yeah. We have that conversation all the time. So we are being broadcast right now on what's called About Face Media. That is our veteran-based nonprofit. And basically what we do is we take transitioning veterans out of the military that want to get into broadcasting, and we give them a microphone, a laptop, and our platform and say, tell a story. Doesn't have to be your military story. You can talk about fly fishing. You can talk about detailing cars, whatever you want. Tell a story, experience. And we've had folks go on to all kinds of great careers from it. It's a powerful tool.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome. Like one of the challenges, I think, when guys get out or girls get out and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start a new career. Some people have it a lot easier than others. Some people can step into a family business that's been waiting for them, and they basically have a spot, right? They're like, I know what I'm going to do afterwards. But I would say the vast majority, they don't have that. They're going to slide into something that's already running, learn the ropes, and then a lot of times we're starting from scratch, and you're just like flying blind. You're with a blindfolder on, flying a plane for the first time, hoping you don't hit the trees, and that's what it feels like, really. To me, it's you're just like, I'm just doing what I know, and I'm, you're consuming information, books, podcasts, and trying to educate yourself on a completely different life and how to do business and how to take your passion or whatever that is. And maybe you can join those two. It's tough, man. It's tough. And so that transition, I think people get disheartened by it, I think, a little bit, where it's like, I don't have my crew. No one's got my back. I go to work. Everyone's stabbing everybody in the back. And that happens in the military, but I would say to a lesser extent, because what I've noticed is the vets come out. Generally, we think team first, right? What are my actions going to do to affect the team? As opposed to, what can this business do for me? Can they advance me up the ladder? As opposed to we think team. You know what I mean? And then when you realize the people around you don't think team first, they think themselves first. That's a tough pill to swallow. And I don't like swallowing that pill, but I've stuck with the team first thing just because it's so ingrained, and it's just the right thing to do. It really is.
I think bringing that mentality into the civilian world is incredible when you're able to, or you're capable of getting the civilians involved in it, whoever you're working with.
Yeah.
Because you're not always working with vets as hard as, we try. We still have some civilians we deal with.
I've been trying to get into the adult film industry for like 10 years now. And no matter how many videos I send to people, I never get a phone call back. It's so weird.
There's got to be a niche there for you somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Who doesn't love the bald, cuddly guys? Come on now.
Right.
Whatever. I'm going to have my big break. I know it.
Well,
keep sending those videos.
Herb Brooks, he was the coach of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team that beat the professional Russian team, right? The movie Miracle. And there's a real phrase he has. And so hockey jerseys, hockey, the front of the jersey generally is the club, organization, the team, whatever it is. That's the front. And the back, some teams have the last name on the back and some teams don't. And so Herb Brooks said, the name on the front of the jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back. And I was like, that hit home with me. When I just saw that from the movie Miracle, and I looked it up, and he actually did say that. And it completely makes sense coming from that team first mindset. You're like, yes. And then when he wasn't picking the best players, like, why aren't you picking that guy, that guy, that guy? Like, they're way better players, these other guys. He's like, I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right players, because the right players form a team of people that want to be the star. It's not going to work well. Right? You have to have people that pitch the ball, whatever sport it is, to the dude that's going to get the glory shot, and he's going to be on ESPN. He's going to dunk it, or he's going to run across the line, or he's going to put the puck in the net. Right? You have to be the assist guy. Being the assist guy is like huge. You check your ego, and
you don't get the goal.
Yeah,
but it's the most important job.
Maybe you pass it to the guy who's going to get the assist, and you're not even mentioned in the point. Right? You're just there because you knew, if I give it to him, he's going to get to that guy, and that guy's going to put it in. You can just see the play. he's like, fuck myself. That's not important. Our team needs a goal right now. And this is how we get a goal. And that applies. I mean, same thing, like applies to first responders and business, everything. Business world, it applies, but I don't think it happens enough, I would say. Yeah.
Speaking of business, the number one reason that we brought you on tonight, Christmas is coming real quick. 30 Seconds Out has some of the best products out there on the market. Tell us about 30 Seconds Out. What do you got coming up for the Christmas season? Where can people go to buy your shit? Let's pimp this business a little bit.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so if you go to 30secondsout.com, you just like the word 30, the word seconds, the word out. There's no numbers in there, just 30secondsout.com. That's our site. And we've got, obviously we're starting Black Friday sales coming up, and there's big discounts. So I created a discount for just specifically for you guys. And the code is just From the Ashes, and it's 35% off site-wide until the 29th of midnight, the 29th of November. And yeah,
we're gonna wear that shit out.
Dude, wear it out, man. Just like empty our warehouse. I don't care. Go for it. Yeah. So,
dude, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
That's the biggest percent off that anybody's given us for the show.
It's pretty close. Yeah, you're exactly right. We've gotten 30. I think you might have just hit a record. So yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, holy shit, we're gonna pimp that shit. We're gonna sell all your stuff. We're gonna make that happen. Thank you very, very much.
So yeah, I got your email, and I have like two kind of things to show you. Like this is this is one of our best sellers anyway from like the military. This is a buddy of mine took that photo. He came to my wedding, and I got married years ago, and he came, took the photo, but we just call it day blazing, and it's just a little bird flying in front of the Statue of Liberty. And he sent me the photo. He's like, dude, check this out. I was like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, is there any way that we can like turn this into a fundraiser and sell t-shirts and stickers with that on? He goes, hell yeah, go for it. So he donated some money to the NSA 160, the Night Stalker Association. So for folks that don't know who the Night Stalkers are, if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, those helicopter pilots flying the Black Hawks and the little birds, that's TF-160 or the SOAR, Special Operations Air Regiment, and their organization is NSA 160, and they're a lot smaller than say the Wounded Warrior Project or the Navy SEAL Foundation, right? They're really small because the unit is really small. So we've donated some money to them, and we try to give back to like veteran causes as much as we can, and also stay in business, right? Sometimes I've gone a little bit too far where I've like donated like too much money, and then we run out of runway a little bit, and I'm like, I kind of went overboard there a little bit. We need to like rein it in, dude. Like do the numbers really good first. But and then another design, which is kind of just more of it has nothing to do with the military. It's just we throw in different mountain designs. This one just says expect to self-rescue. I mean, and that applies to, first responders, military, and people that go into the mountains or going out in the world doing stuff. It's be prepared, man. Get ready to rescue yourself, because, even though you might have a little satellite communicator or a cell service, how long is it going to take them to get there? I don't know. I mean, if somebody's bleeding out, 4 hours is not going to fucking cut it, right? You have to be able to stop the bleeder. You have to be able to do the initial things, and you should have the kit to do it. If you're going to go put yourself and your friends or family and out in the wilderness, let's say, and it's a little dicey, it can be sketchy out there, and bad things happen all the time. You should be prepared for that shit. And so that expect to self-rescue is kind of one of our definite best sellers. And we have different designs we throw up, and every couple months we'll just change the design, but it'll still say expect to self-rescue, just to give people something different to look at. You know what I mean?
We are huge fans of the adventure motorcycle community here. Big supporters of the Motorcycle Relief Project here. And we hand out that sticker all the time, expect to self-rescue. It's a big deal in the adventure motorcycling community. If you're going to ride by yourself, be ready to get yourself out of that shit.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Oh, yeah.
We're a big fan.
You got 30 Seconds Out, and then we do that, and got a couple employees, and we have a retail shop in Montrose, Colorado right here. Just down about 40 minutes down the road. We live in Uray, Colorado, up in the mountains, and 40 minutes away is Montrose, Colorado. We're on the western slope of Colorado. So if you picture Colorado as square, the Rocky Mountains kind of run down the middle. There's the Front Range, which is like Fort Collins, Boulder, Denver. We're on the opposite side of the Rockies, 5 hours west. On the kind of quiet side. It's pretty quiet over here. I was just in Denver 2 days ago. The traffic, oh my God. Like, I'm not used to traffic anymore, dude. I've been living in the middle of nowhere in the mountains for so fucking long. When I see traffic, I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Right, I start to switch. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. You have a little bit of is it a scholarship or something that you work with? I tripped over something on your page. What is the other thing you have going on your page? There was something that you offer.
Yeah. So one thing that I started doing, and I just started doing it last month, and it was from the suggestion of a friend of mine. And because I've been doing it, but I didn't publicize it, is basically kind of coaching and mentoring people that are going in the military. And I don't charge any money for this shit. So what I started doing was I got a 1-page quick form, just your name, a couple questions, so I can get my head wrapped around the person who's thinking about going in the military. And basically I chat with people on Zoom calls that are thinking about going in the military and they're not really sure where to go. And I give them basically really good advice on picking the right job. Recruiters are great, but recruiters are also commission-based sales. So they're incentivized to push certain jobs, and rightfully so, because the military, when jobs, go low in this area, they got to get more jobs. They got to get that back up. So they need to pump recruits into that. And it totally makes sense. But what I tell them is we basically like,
they're worse than a used car salesman.
It was a short time, and I regret every moment of it.
A used car salesman only ropes you into 6 years. These motherfuckers are making 20-year life decisions with you.
I love hearing from kids now. They're like, "Hey, Sergeant Williams, you put me in as a truck driver. You can't thank you enough." Really? All right, cool, man. Good on you.
Sweet. Yeah, awesome. And so I got, if you go to the website, the top, and it's just a question about militaries. Click on that. People fill it out. It comes right to my business email, event@30secondsout.com, and I look at it, and most of them, I'll email them back, and I'll say, hey, let's just hop on a Zoom call and chat this out. And I give them a Zoom link, and boom, right there, and they pick a time. I use this program called Calendly. It's basically I just put hours open that I can do this, and then they just pick whatever time slot works for them. And I say it's 30 minutes, but the first call I had, we chatted for an hour and a half. And so I just want to help people going in the military pick the right job, because as you know, if you pick the wrong job when you go in the military, you're gonna be fucking miserable, and it's gonna be terrible.
Infantry.
So picking correctly, whatever's right for you is super important. And I don't want them to get derailed and go be miserable and come out like the military sucked. I hated it. Whereas you got guys like me, I come out, I fucking love the military. Yeah, we lost people and a lot of people died, but I still loved it. Maybe it's a little crazy to say that, but even those guys, if they were to appear right back right now, they would say they love the job. And I know them. They would say that,
They would.
And so, so I'm doing that until I get so many that I can't keep up with it. Just like, it's because it's just a 1-for-1, right? Like, I only have so many hours in the day I can do it, but it has not got to that point yet. And I just enjoy helping people, make good decisions. Because I remember when I was going in, I was lucky because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and see if I could make it through BUDS. And I told the guy, if you don't get me a thing to BUDS, I'm going to go to the Army recruiter and Marine Corps. I'm going to go see about going to Rangers, Q course, maybe go to ODA if I can. Maybe I'll go to recon. I'm going to special operations. That's what I want to do. And they kept trying to get me to be a nuclear. They were trying to get me to become like a nuclear something, like a nuclear engineer, because my ASVAB score was it was right below that. But they're like, if you retake the ASVAB, you're going to gain a point and you'll be eligible, and you would love being a nuclear engineer. I'm like, I absolutely would not love that. There's no way I'm doing that. I know what I want to do, and I know myself, right? And so I was lucky because I knew what I wanted to do. A lot of the younger folks that I talk to, and it's not all guys, it's some girls too. They're not really sure. They want to serve, and their heart's in a good place. They just want to give of themselves to the country, right? And that is like, it's kind of rare. Like, most people don't think like that. Most people aren't like, I want to serve my country. They're not thinking team, right? They're not thinking team country. They're thinking self. And that's okay, but I would rather have those people go in a right direction and informed and clear-cut goals, so that when they go in, they have a great experience. as great as you can have in the military. As great as you can have. And it can be fucking amazing.
Evan, I want to be as respectful of your time as possible. I know you are a business owner. You got a lot of shit going on. You took a lot of time out of your night to be here. My hetero life mate here is going to give you the rest of the spiel.
Okay. All right, at the end of our guest time with us, we always give a couple minutes for you to just whatever we forgot that we were supposed to talk about. If there's a question that you wanted us to ask you, but we didn't, sure. We don't read minds. It's your time. We'll try not to interrupt.
I appreciate that. I think kind of playing off, helping folks pick the right job in the military. Sometimes some of the, whoever's out there, you may know somebody that their childhood was, let's just say, kind of fucked up. And my childhood was very fucked up. I mean, pedophiles, like bad shit. And so I had this film studio called K-ROM Studios. They contacted me about a year ago. And I'm like, okay, they're going to want a bunch of war stories, right? I'm like, and I told them, like, hey, I'm not going to give you a bunch of war stories and go down that road. That shit's already been told, you know what I mean? But I'm willing to talk about other things. And I'm like, okay, well, let's hop on a Zoom. So I hopped on a Zoom and I was thinking, well, here's what it was like growing up. And I haven't seen that covered a lot. Like a person that has had really bad things happen, think they can't go in the military, or they don't think it's a good fit, or they think they're like broken kind of thing. Fuck that, man. And so they made a film. It's a 15-minute short documentary. If you go to darkedgefilm.com, there's a rated R version, and then there's a PG version. The rated R version basically just has me cussing a lot. And there's some other things they kind of pulled out of there that might not be that great for younger people. You know what I mean? But I've gotten so much amazing feedback from it. Like people going, man, I have had the very similar things. And I felt like I've never told anybody about any of this shit. And I'm like a pretty transparent person, because I think, coming out of when we started in the war, right, we were everybody was holding like their feelings inside until eventually that vase is going to fill up and it's going to start overflowing. You can't keep it in forever. And we started doing counseling. I'm like, you know what? It actually is better to talk about these things, and and someone else can benefit from it. If they hear someone that, well, this guy was a team guy and he's out there talking about some crazy shit that happened with abusive, crazy ass fucking sociopath stepdad, then I can probably talk to some people about it and get this off my chest and move on with my life and become a better human being, right? Moving forward, instead of like carrying this dark, rotting shit inside of me. So darkedgefilm.com, if you're interested. It's 15 minutes. It's really short. The other thing I do on the like, aside from 30 seconds out, is I work for San Juan Mountain Guides, and I'm at the apprentice guide level. I'm like at the beginning level, right? New guy, working my way up through like ski guiding, alpine guiding, climbing, rock, ice, and all that. And I live here year round, and I guide for them year round now. And so if anybody wants to come up and hang out with me and go do stuff in the mountains, you don't have to be like a climber. Like we can go from everything from a family friendly, sunny day rock climbing thing all the way to a, oh my God, I think I'm going to die type rock climbing or ice climbing, right? There's a gambit depending on where people are at. And one of the funnest things we do is actually called a via ferrata, and it's Italian for iron path. Entire families can do it. We've had like 6-year-olds doing it with their dads who are in their 50s all at the same time. And it's basically what it is. It's these rebar thing. They bend it like it's a ladder rung. They drill it and epoxy it into the side of a cliff. And you have this cable that runs along, and you just clip this cable. So you're climbing and you're traversing and you're all doing it together as a family. It's an amazing family thing. So if you guys want to come hang out next summer and do that, just hit up San Juan Mountain Guys and just ask for me. Just say, hey, is Evan available for this? And most likely I will be, because I'm just here. And yeah, we'll go out and have a fun day in the mountains. It's fucking sweet, man.
Sounds like something our executive producer would love.
Yeah. I'm scared of heights, so I'm out.
No, I am too. I'm scared of heights, man.
What though? But now I no longer have to like overcome that shit. So yeah, jump out of a C-130 or
right
rope or some dumb shit. So I don't have to anymore. So now I choose not to. I have my feet right on the fucking ground.
Yeah.
I can get that. I'm not sleeping on the ground anymore, so I get you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Evan, I mispronounced it, with 30 seconds out. he has established a code just for this show. The code is From the Ashes. Go there, do all of your Christmas shopping for all the first responders and basically everybody in your life. Check out 30 Seconds Out. You will absolutely not be disappointed. Yvonne, I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show tonight, taking time away from your business to be a part of the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, boys. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me on. And I look forward to, watching your show too, continuing forward.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll see you on the other side.
All right,
thanks,
boys.
man.
Later.
Good night. Look at that face. Look at that face. Just thrilled to be here. How the heck are you?
For someone as badass as that gentleman was, I wonder if he owns a watch.
Do you? What do you got going on back? What's going on back there? Oh, I love the new pictures of you on the bike.
Yeah, thanks.
What was that for?
So this is just how life goes full circle. So when I moved to Massachusetts, and I left the Fortune 100 company, went to work for the state as a DVOP, Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Specialist. And you can find them in your career centers. DVOP, Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialist. So I had a client who was a Marine veteran and worked at the VA, fell ill, and she was just looking for her next opportunity. And she's like, well, I do photography. And I'm like, okay, let me see what you got. So long story short, I made her into a veteran service officer. And then we become colleagues when I left the state and went to work for municipality. So we've kept in touch and all this stuff. And now she's in school to become a photographer. So she has the experience and the education. And she's like, hey, listen, I have to do this project where I have to photograph female veterans. And I'm like, all right, what do you need me to do? So that was, the motorcycle was just one portion. Like there's, I haven't posted these photos yet, but it was me in my office, like with my degrees, and there's a photo of me, what it looks like when, I get some bad news across my desk, and it was real time. And it was just, and then she's like, hey, can we take photos of your bike? So I went upstairs and I changed, put on the red lipstick, put on the red boots and the oxblood jacket, and we was taking photos, and I had a blast. Like it was just, she did such a great job. Like she's just such a great photographer. So
They are very nice.
And I just found out, come on, that the Lady Riders of New England group actually took one of my photos, and now it's their cover photo, and it's the one me looking in the mirror, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
What's going on in the VSO world these days?
So not much since last week. Again, I want to remind everybody, if you are 30% or more service connected and you haven't added your spouse or your children, your stepchildren, your adopted children, you need to do that. You can get on va.gov in the form of 686 Charlie. You can just type in add dependents. You definitely need that. Check your property tax abatement. You may live in a state where you don't have to be 100% service connected to get a property tax abatement. Please get that. Also, if you want to use your GI Bill, if you want to transfer your GI Bill, you have to do it while you are on active duty, okay? Once you get out, you cannot transfer your GI Bill to your family members. You have to do it while you are on active duty, because the military is going to want 3 more years out of you, okay? So please do not wait until you ETS to switch your GI Bill benefits to your family. You have to do it while you are on active duty. I cannot tell you how many phone calls I get a week of veterans like disheartened and pissed off because I had to tell them, I'm sorry, you can't use your GI Bill for your family. It has to be for you because you didn't transfer while you were on active duty. So don't make that mistake.
There are a lot of better benefits out there for your families. They are challenging to access. We're learning that recently, right now, personally. But yeah, there is a lot out there. But
also look at the Fry Scholarship. I haven't done too many, but I was reading a little about it, just tripped over it on a page today. There are tons of scholarships that kids of military members and kids of veterans will qualify for, like the DAV, the VFW, the American Legion. They're always giving away scholarships. So if you need $1,000 is $1,000, right? It'll cover your books. So, there's no shame in applying for scholarships. Get after it.
What did you call it the first time? Pride Scholarship?
Fry, Fry. I think it's like Sergeant Fry or Corporal Fry, but it's just the Fry Scholarship. Go on va.gov, and it's there, and see if you qualify. I think he was a Marine veteran or Marine service member. Again, I didn't read too much about it. I just saw that it was one more option for veterans and their family members to help pay for college. So,
what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Well, we are going to my future father-in-law's house. It's the last year that they're going to have Thanksgiving in the house, because it'll be up on the market. But a couple of the family members have COVID, so we're kind of like, do we just stay home? Like, I don't really know what to do. So eating, though, I will be eating for sure. I will definitely be eating. So here's a funny little story. When I was a DVOP, back to being the Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialist, right? I had this geeky white guy, right? This middle-aged white guy sit down in front of me, and he was like this white collar, and he had a button shirt, and it was like plaid, and he had glasses, and he had like the comb over, right? And he was young. He was like 45-ish, handsome guy, but like wicked geeky, wicked nerdy. And he gives me his resume, and I'm looking over his resume and stuff, and he was a veteran, so I take his DD-214. And he was asking me questions about the family and all this stuff. We had really pleasant conversation, but he was already educated and he didn't need any of my help. So I said, it was really nice to meet you, nerd. Good luck to you. So then he leaves. And as I'm entering his stuff, his DD-214, I look and I see 1/60th. And I sent him an email and I just said, "Night Stalker." And he writes back, "It was a very interesting time of my life." And that was it. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's got like balls of steel. And he's like the geekiest, like nerdiest dude I've ever met. And I'm like, that's a little sexy. That's a little sexy. But yeah, that was my, yep. And I didn't even, I just saw it. And I just Night Stalker. And all he said was, "It was a very interesting time in my life." I bet it was.
Well, we tell our people all the time, we say all the time, you ask someone, "Oh, what'd you do in the military?" "Oh, I can't tell you what I did. I'd have to kill you." That means they didn't do dick. They did fuck.
Right.
They did nothing.
Right.
If they're like, "Oh, I worked in logistics and I was a supply management guy," but that dude's a badass.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's seen some shit. He's done some shit. Yeah. So
the badass won't tell you about being a badass.
Well, that's how I met like Jonathan Hill, right? He was in Cop Keating, right, in the Battle of Chemdesh and the Outpost, right? And I was in Texas, and I walked into the hotel bar, and I was in a bathing suit, and I'm like, "I need a place to sit," and we made eye contact. He's like, "You can sit here if you want," and I'm like, "Thanks." And he's like, rugged beard, and I'm like, "Oh, So I sit down. He's covered in tats, and he's with this girlfriend. And I don't know this guy from anywhere, so I sit down, and he's like. And I'm like, "You a vet?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh yeah, me too. I'm just here for the veterans conference." He's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm here for." So he starts speaking, and I'm like, this story sounds really familiar, but it's like bits and pieces. And I'm just he isn't saying anything. He didn't mention Cop Keating. He didn't mention Afghanistan. Like he just didn't say anything, but he said a couple of things that kind of like, bloop, like the radar went up. And then I was talking to a couple of people, and I'm like, "Hey, who is that guy?" And they're like, "Dude, that's Sergeant First Class Hill." And I'm like, so I'm Googling who's Sergeant First Class Jonathan Hill, fucking Silver Star recipient, right? Like denied the Medal of Honor. He was put in for it, said, "I don't want it." So he took the Silver Star instead. And like, is just an American certified badass, like in the same battle that Ty Carter got his Medal of Honor. And I'm like, and he's just like this infidel, just cool, laid down guy. And we have a great, beautiful friendship. And I would have never, he wasn't bragging about it. He was just very cool. He was like, "Yeah, I did this." But then a couple of words, I was like, wait a minute, I know this guy. So.
All right, Allie, we're coming to the end of the show. We got to do the safety brief.
Yes.
So before we cut you loose, do you have an addition to the safety brief?
Yeah, please remove the turkey bag before you cook the turkey.
What?
The turkey bag.
The turkey bag? Oh, the guts?
Yeah, the turkey bag.
With it in it.
It's disgusting. Do you cook it with the bag in it?
I'm doing it for a turkey for the first time on my own at this coming Thursday.
I'm not going to lie. I've accidentally not pulled the bag out. And here's what happens. When you get done with the turkey, you pull the bag out and you throw it away. That's it.
It's just gross?
Nothing.
It's gross.
It's no different than pulling it out beforehand.
No, you cook. Because I went to a few years ago. I was in Kansas, and my ex-husband's company commander invited us over for Thanksgiving. It was just us two couples, and they cooked the turkey, and the turkey was not really cooked. It was gross. And Miranda, my daughter, was looking at me, and I'm you're gonna eat it anyway. And as she's cutting the turkey, like she reached in and she pulled it out, and it was like dripping, and it was awful. It was awful. So please remove the turkey bag before you cook the turkey.
What you got?
Let's see here. Folks, I know holidays are a stressful time, but Thanksgiving is not. Joyce and turkey, fuck Christmas. Go ahead, it's your turn.
So
aggressive. What did Christmas ever do to you?
Allie, I haven't had nicotine for a few days now.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Amazing.
So, to pay for it.
Good.
I know, right?
It's out of your system. If it's been more than 3 days, the nicotine is out of your system. Now it's just habit. Now you just have to fight the habit of like drinking coffee.
I quit my no dip for almost a week now, and I had like a vape that was like wearing out. It's fully worn out today. So I got a day or two more of hating the world and trying not to slap people.
He's doing great.
So the gum, right? Or the patch, the gum?
No, fuck all that, because I'm just gonna keep using that then.
Yeah, well, all right.
No.
I mean, the idea is supposed to wean yourself off. My investigator, he's actually weaning himself off nicotine, and he I think it's been like 2 weeks since he stopped smoking, and he's just like, I mean, he's a grumpy fuck anyway, but I love this dude. He's a good guy. But he's got a whole pack of just nicotine chewing gum. Like, I don't think that's how it works, man.
And that would be me. So I'll just cut it all off. We're done. Next.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, heart attacks are very prevalent over the holidays. People overeat and they can give themselves a heart attack. Recognize the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. It is not just chest pain. It's pain down your arms. It's dizziness, nausea, vomiting, things like that. Recognize the signs of a heart attack. If you suspect someone is having a heart attack, get them to the ER as quickly as possible. Call an ambulance. Call 911.
Universal sign of choking, just in case you need it.
We make it on this show all the time.
Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. We always got them. Allie, have a happy Thanksgiving. Love you. Bye. All right, folks, before we end the show here, check it out. So this is our never forgotten section. Then we're going to call it a night. Let's see here. Staff Sergeant Jason Matus killed himself just after midnight, November 21st, 2011. According to military records, Matus reported for active duty at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in 1997. He served there until 2004 with deployments to Egypt in 2000 and Iraq from April of 2003 to January of 2004. His family says in Iraq he served with the 571st Air Cavalry, 571st Air Medevac is what it was, as a combat medic. It was during that time his wife, Faye Norris, said that he suffered neck injuries when a chopper he was riding in crash landed to avoid enemy fire. Staff Sergeant Jason Matus took his own life November 21st, 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, please look him up when you drop to your knees tonight to say your prayers. Please remember my very good friend, Staff Sergeant Jason Matus, and keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. It's Thanksgiving week. Go eat way more food than you should be able to, and have a great holiday. Next week, we have a dude that carves chainsaw bears. It's not what you think it is. It's not a bear that holds chainsaws. It's a wooden bear that was carved with a chainsaw. Apparently, some people got that confused. That's okay. We'll clarify. He makes chainsaw bears. It's super cool, and he's a veteran. So and we're going to pimp his business as well. Go to 30 Seconds Out and use the code From the Ashes. You're going to get 35% off. Go to Thigh Huggers. Use the code OneShot. You're going to get a huge hunk of money off of your order, and everybody needs new shorts for Christmas. Go to Combat Flip Flops. Enter the code AboutFace. You're going to get 30% off. We get a 15% of that. You're supporting About Face Media. Ladies and gentlemen, have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Have a great Thanksgiving. Clear and clear.